The Royal Motor Yacht Club Port Hacking is a hidden gem of the Shire, situated on the banks of the beautiful Port Hacking. It's a great place to catch up with friends, celebrate your birthday or any special occasion, and they always show the NRL live on the big screens. The RMYC Port Hacking, proud sponsors of this podcast and big supporters of the Cronulla Sharks. Check out their website, rmycph.com.au. They've got a Facebook page, or you could go old school and call them on 02 9523 9300.
SharkCast! SharkCast! Fafita tries to crash his way over, he does! Fafita got the ball over the line!
And to all you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, welcome to SharkCast Pod, a podcast dedicated to the greatest sporting club in the history of the world, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. This midweek flagship episode is brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. Friendly reminder, if you want to jump on, have your business exposed to the thousands of people listening to SharkCast Pod, or watching, of course, as well, on our socials, on our YouTubes, etc., drop us a line and we can talk some business. But we're here to talk about the mighty Cronulla Sharks. My name is Sam Shinazzi. I'm an OG from 2015. This is our 12th season of podcasting, and it's a real joy, privilege, and honour to do so, and appreciate everyone's support along the way. On this episode, we're going to look back at the week that was, including the horrific loss to South Sydney, and get through a bunch of your mail and just some of the news of the day, news of the week, and we'll look forward to the Dogs clash on Friday night at Suncorp Stadium, and we're hoping to have a preview episode for you as well coming up, and a bit more media as well. So stick with the SharkCast Pod. You know where to subscribe. If you don't, hit your podcast app, follow, subscribe, like. Same thing with YouTube. And on the social medias, you can find a bunch of our content, not all of it, but a bunch of it at SharkCast Pod on all the main social medias. Sharkies lose to the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and we've discussed it quite a lot this week already on Kieran's show, and especially on the post-game show. And again, thank you to everyone who tuned into that, whether it was live or after the fact. Super disappointing result, and since then there's been a little bit more media exposure towards the Sharks, and rightly so. And just today, as I record, a friend of the show, Dave Riccio, has released a really very honest appraisal of where the Sharks are at going into Magic Round against Canterbury, and we'll get to that shortly. But just on the Souths game, still very disappointing result days later. The more you look at it, the kind of worse it gets as far as, I don't know if effort's the word, but execution definitely, and defensively just really never really ripping in that much. Started the game okay, but that didn't last very long. And Souths were just so up for it. And that is a problem. Like, you should be up for it more than your opposition. That's how the teams win games these days. It has raised a lot of opinion from fans all over the place. And we've received a bunch in our inbox and on our social media. And I read a lot as well, obviously. And so many different opinions about so many different things. And that's good in a way because everyone gets to express themselves. It's not good that we have to have all those opinions right now because the team isn't travelling as well as they should be. We are not necessarily at the stages of other teams in the competition in a negative sense, but that doesn't make it okay. So really need to hit our strides this weekend, as soon as this weekend. Go into the bye with 4 points and then come out and face a red-hot Manly team down at Ocean Protect Stadium. But one game at a time, a huge game coming up. The Bulldogs will be up for this. Whether they can play to the best of their abilities, I'm not sure, but they'll be up for this one. I know that. And we better be up for it. And I'm pretty sure we will be, given the week that we've had. But yeah, different speculation about different things that should happen this week, next year, whether it's from the coaching ranks. I've seen things about the head coach, about the assistant coaches. I've seen things about fullback, wing, centre, halves, back row, prop. Probably the only person that's safe at the moment from too much criticism is Blake Brayley, and his spot's pretty safe. But we're in a position we didn't think we'd be. 10th place going into Magic Round. And it's a problem. This club and our fans expect and deserve better. People know that I'm on the side of the coach because I really respect how he goes about his business and what he does, and that's just my personal opinion. But he's not happy with how it's going either, and however much fault you lay at him, or if you do it all, or if it's all about the coach, like whatever you think about the coach, I'm telling you he's not happy about the situation as well. So it's not like they're down at Ocean Protect Stadium and the training facilities having a good time and partying. They're trying to work it out individually and collectively.
Healy from the touchline. Healy, oh!
The Sharks lost 36 points to 12 to South Sydney at Acor Stadium in Homebush. Alex Johnson got the hat-trick. And Latrell Jr. kicked a bunch of goals as well. And for the Sharks, just 2 tries to Kate Eliro and Mawini Hiroti with 2 Nico Hines goals, 36-12. Very disappointing performance. It's hard to know where to start. I'm still not satisfied with the job that the forwards are doing as a whole. I like how some of them are playing, but there is so much pressure on the back five to do the meters. And then I think there's got to be some sort of back and forth. There's got to be a meeting halfway between the backs and the forwards as to what they're doing and the output they're doing. We do see the return of a bunch of players this week, and that's a positive. So Jesse Ramien's back, and Ronaldo Mulatalo's back. And Jesse Colquhoun goes to lock because Cam McInnes is out for a couple of weeks with an ankle issue. So there is a bit of change there, especially in the 3 quarters, and that's been a massive weak spot for the Sharks all year. Both sides of our field, both edges, have been liabilities as far as conceding tries. And we've got to shore up that. We've got to tighten that up. And it does start more inwards on the field. I mean, people are obsessed with centers and wingers missing tackles, and they do. And they are responsible for a bunch of things. We saw it last week. But they're not completely responsible, even in some of those instances. And you've got to put the overhead camera on, have a far look at it from high up, watch where it all crumbles. It's not necessarily where you think it might be the most obvious spot. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But there is change this week, and that's good. And that means a guy like Sifa Talakai can do what he does best, get on the field in the middle of the park and rip and tear. I've had a bit of feedback about my suggestion of putting him as the starting prop with Fanua Blake, his cousin, and I still want to try that. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I think while we have him, we need to sort of get the most out of him. So a lot to do, a lot to look at. I'm just throwing up a few ideas. The biggest frustration for me is the inconsistency. Absolutely smashed the Titans week 1. Only score 6 points against Penrith week 2. Understandable in some instance. Round 3, 38-10 loss to the Dolphins at home. Then we play the Raiders and we beat them down there. Then we beat the Warriors at Ocean Protect Stadium. Then we lose to the Roosters, even though we're winning 22-6. The Cowboys put 46 on us, but then we come home, we put 52 on the West Tigers. It's so confusing. This year is so confusing. So they obviously have it in them to win games. It's just not happening every couple of weeks. I do like the fact, though, there are some wins in there. We're not like other teams where there's long streaks. It's more on, off, and that's pretty annoying. I thought the press conference said a lot as well after the game, with the coach saying he was sick of waiting on things to happen. Don't get me wrong, he's as responsible as a whole bunch of people as far as performance goes, but I am one of those people, and it's going to annoy you, that sometimes thinks that the coach sends them out and he's done all he can and it's up to the players. So let that sit with you how you want. I'm not suggesting the coach has had a perfect year, but I think there's something bigger there than just the coach not being the right guy. I think he is the right guy. Many of you don't. I respect that, but there's something more to it. Last year, particularly on the run home, where we were going so well and we were playing so aggressive and had a lot of attitude and swagger, the big conversation from us out to the world, particularly from individual players, was, we want your respect. You never give it to us. Watch us go. And we did go, and we went pretty deep into the comp. This year, the expectation was to go even further, and they're not even close to that. And that's a massive problem, and that's a reason why you sometimes can't make these big, bold statements if you're not going to live up to them. We can't complain about being considered flat track bullies. We can't complain about not winning against better teams if we're not going to do it. I can't believe we blew a lead 22-6 against the Roosters. I know it's about Peter Volandi's football these days, but I just can't get over those simple, old-fashioned ideas where you're winning by a bunch of points and then you let that go. And it's happened a few times this year. So a lot to work on. It starts against the Bulldogs. The good news is I think we're going to win this game. I'm reasonably confident we're going to win this game. It's not going to be necessarily easy. I think if the Sharks play to their capabilities, they can more than win this game. But we're on a shorter week as far as podcasting goes. Not so much the football side of things, but just a lot going on, and we will get more episodes out to you, but this one's going to be a shorter, sharper flagship. But not rushing through it at all. I promise you that. Never would do that to you guys and girls. I do want to tell you about our good friend Jason Hawes of Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. He's been in the real estate industry for about 25 years now in Cronulla and surrounding areas, gaining invaluable experience in every aspect of real estate. He grew up in the area. He knows it like it's his own backyard because it is. Along with his knowledge, he has an understanding of everything that is second to none, which in turn gives you the edge selling in today's market when you list with him. If you have any kind of real estate questions at all, not even about buying, but anything to do with real estate, just get in touch with him. Tell him I sent you and he will help you out. 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes, Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. 0410 417 450. Sharks fanatic, by the way. Don't just call him and talk about the Sharks, but I'm sure that if you talk business, he'll be open to talking about Sharks as well. That's Jason Hawes, good mate of the show.
So on the last, it's Hines, and he's going to go to the air again. And oh my goodness! Ronaldo! Mulatalo! High above them!
So, friend of the show, Dave Riccio, published a really great piece on the Daily Telegraph /Code websites, and I imagine it being the physical edition of the paper as well. I haven't seen one of those for a long time, but they're around. And the headline says, why Sharks are heading down the path of Hindy, ET, and Junior Pearce. I'm not going to read it out word for word, but basically he's talking about the premiership window closing. I did want to bring up a few quotes though. And there's a lot of nice things written in here by Dave, but then there's some real harsh realities. The inconsistent Sharks are wasting, literally kissing goodbye, the past 4 years during which they've developed into a finals-assured NRL side. Right now, we're watching a team take their opportunity for granted. Again, there's some nice things written, but then it says the Sharks playing group need to be honest with themselves. He does talk about some reasons why things may not have been as rosy as they have been this year. But then he says, are they serious about making a dent in this competition or not? The bottom line is this: 2026 is the end of the road for this current roster of Sharks. They will never have this opportunity together again beyond this year. Ahead of this clash against the Bulldogs, the Cronulla players need to look into the future. In 10 years' time, do they want to look back with regret? There's no secret here. Dave's a good friend of mine and he's a good friend of the show, and I love what he does, the way he writes with sincerity, honesty, passion, clarity, intelligence, but also just not sugarcoating anything as well. It's no secret. Dave has a connection with the Cronulla club, but I really admire what he did because it's what we all think. It's what we say on the show most weeks, but he really got to the heart of it in under however many words. And it's got people talking. And the other thing is the Luke Metcalf situation has got people talking. And so Luke Metcalf has told the Warriors that he doesn't want to be there anymore. He wants to play number 7. And Canterbury and the Dragons are the main teams targeting him. But there are other teams out there who would be interested. Now, as far as the Sharks go, there's nothing official at all happening. If you would ask me, is there a chance? I'd say there's always a chance, but I would lean towards anything really being considered. And here's why. Luke Metcalf left the Sharks a few years ago to join the Warriors. It wasn't the greatest of departures. I don't think it was a never again stamp, but it wasn't the greatest of departures from either side. He went away, became an even better player, suffered some pretty serious injuries, unfortunately. He wants to play number 7. We have a number 7. We have a number 6. So there's a lot of tinkering there if the club was to be interested in that. There was speculation from, I think, Brian Fletcher on SEN Radio about Nico going to Perth. Since then, Andrew Voss has spoken about a way to get someone like Nico Hines over to Perth. It's merely opinion. It's not anything in truth. And when I say that, I mean there's nothing actually pushing that. It's just some opinion, what if kind of scenario. I would be very surprised if Nico Hines left the Shire early for a number of reasons. And I personally wouldn't be looking at him as being the one to leave if you needed someone to leave to make room for Metcalf. However, the Metcalf thing, just so you know at this stage, I don't think it's even remotely close to happening or even being thought about happening. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to jump online and write things. But just so you know, I don't think they're necessarily even close to considering it. Would it be raised in a conversation in the walls of Cronulla? Sure, maybe. But there's nothing else there. I've asked around a little bit and I'd find it highly unlikely at this point. Anything can change, of course, so just keep that in mind. Anything can change. But I'd love to know what you think. Would you be moving around the team to fit in someone like him? Now, he has only played a small bunch of games and he's asking for about $900 to $1 million. That's a pretty big risk. But we keep talking about making a change, and we keep talking about making a change in the spine. And when I say we, I'm talking about Shark Nation. Interesting, it's come up. He's definitely leaving New Zealand. He is from around the Sydney area, I'm led to believe. In fact, spent a lot of time in the Shire, so that's interesting. Ties at Manly as well. You think Canberra are going to push pretty hard for him, even as funny as that whole situation is with them. And the Dragons would be silly not to throw some big money at him as well. So I'd say watch this space on that one. But if you're a Sharks fan, which you are listening to this podcast, and you want Luke Metcalf, I probably wouldn't hold out too much hope at the moment. Now, just on Dave's article again, because I don't think I finished my thought there. It's something that I think about a lot and I talk about sometimes. And it's that idea that you're not going to get another chance. The idea that there is no second chance. The idea that now is the moment. Tonight's the night. Why aren't you winning when you can? Making the most of your opportunities, especially in prelims and that kind of thing. And I stand with Dave on this one. It's a team that's talented. They've been together for a long time. But this year, there is something a little off. Is it fixable? Sure. It's a long season. Let's go for it. But you want to start this week. You want to start against Canterbury at Suncorp. Now, I live in the area of the local community based where the Sharks train and play. I see them around a lot. I see them in large groups. They're a happy group. I'm not saying that they're all 100% happy individually or even collectively. In fact, there's probably some that aren't right now because they're not getting picked and they're off contract, etc. But as far as a playing unit goes, it's my opinion that coach hasn't lost the room. It's my opinion that they do like each other's company. It's my opinion that they have everything there to turn it around. It's within themselves. I'm, again, not going to really be looking at the coach too heavily right now. I think it comes down to the players. Get out there and play. Simple enough equation, cliched even, but that's just how I'm feeling at the moment. Now, you do have, and I think there's a letter or two about it, which we'll get into, the option of picking other players in lower grades. And, we're close to a bunch of people who are obsessed with the lower grades and we respect their opinion completely. It's my opinion that some of these players are just not ready. And hear me out before you shout me down. When I say not ready, could you throw them in for a game? Sure. I don't know if they're ready to take over positions. I don't know if they're ready to week in, week out. I'll tell you right now, Liam Eisen is not ready from a physical point of view. He's not ready. Will he be ready? Sure. Good player? Absolutely. Not ready. And I'm not going to go through them individually right now, but as far as the coach making vast changes and bringing in kids and young guys, you could rely on one or two to maybe do a job for you for a week or so, but it's just a big ask to try and throw in a bunch of kids at once and then say, here's the keys, go for it. Again, only my opinion and my opinion right now. That could change in a month or two. But right now, it's my belief that there is still something worth fighting for, which I think differs from some of our listeners, and that's, again, completely fine.
Speechley, the dummy halfback, it goes to Magor.
So, as a podcast gathering group collective, we will not be represented too heavily at Magic Round. I'm not heading up there myself. Kieran Fraser will be up there. He'll be open to having a chat, having a beer, having a coffee, having a Coke Zero, having a hot dog. So if you see him around, make sure you say hi. A bunch of our listeners are going to be there. If you've got any of the old merchandise, wear it out for us, please. We're working on ways to get you new merchandise, but you can wear the old merch, I'm sure. Represent SharkCast. And we will look towards the future at some of these bigger events of trying to be there and putting on a bit of a show for you guys and girls. But this year at Magic Round, not happening. And in different news, post-game show, Magic Round at this stage will not be live post-game. I'm blessed to be playing a musical show, if you will, a gig at the Brass Monkey in Cronulla with our Sharks-loving friend Dylan Wright. There just won't be time to do a post-game show in the moment. But I'm hopeful of bringing something to you over the weekend. So stay tuned to our socials, and there'll be more about that when I know what the heck I'm going to do. Will I be watching? Absolutely. Will I be reporting on it? Absolutely. But yeah, just if you can put that one in your diary, don't be too disappointed if there's nothing appearing straight after the game. Last Sunday at Coogee Oval, the Newtown Shark Jets won 26-18 over South Sydney, the high-flying South Sydney. A lot of the usual suspects played really good. You can watch that on Bar TV, although I'm sure you can see the highlights elsewhere online. And definitely worth watching because there's a bunch of guys in key positions who have the potential to play for us in the coming months or, depending on what I just said before, coming years. They play the Knights this week. 2 o'clock kickoff at North Sydney Oval, which I think is part of the Beer Footy Food Festival. Bit of a New South Wales Cup Magic Round, if you will. So Jets v Knights this week. All right, you hear us talk about the Royal Motor Yacht Club a lot on this show, and that's because it is a really great place to go, hang out, relax, eat, drink, meet up with friends, spend your time looking at the water, whatever it is you want to do. It's a great place to be. The Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. There's a brilliant, beautiful, affordable restaurant there called The Galley. You can eat your food pretty much anywhere in the club as well. So you're not confined to the restaurant, but there is a nice little restaurant area. Can become a member. It's not required. We encourage it. But if you want to just rock up, the 5 kilometre rule is not a thing anymore. You can book a table online or anything else you want to do, rmycph.com.au. You can get in touch via 9523 9300. That's the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking. Great place to watch footy and just a really chill place just to hang out and do your thing. We had a great watch along there for the Roosters game, which was in Perth about a month ago, and great place, great times. On that note, we have the mail. I'm going to go straight to a gentleman called Liam who got in touch with us. Bit of praise for Will Kennedy. He says the only thing that is a bit of a criticism at the moment is he doesn't back up in the middle. He's wondering if that a game plan thing, a modern game thing, is probably the only thing missing from his game right now. I understand the sentiment that he's not elite, but at the moment I'm not convinced there are legitimately available and better options on the market. The following list, there are only 2 better options in my opinion. I can't imagine Tedesco is genuinely available, and the Hammer would be great, but are they really going to let him go? So the list he has of available players is guys I've never heard of: Clint Gutherson, Lehigh Hopoati, Charles Nickel-Klokstad, Cody Ramsey, Chevy Stewart, Tom Travojevic. So Liam makes a good point, and his namesake, Liam Eisen, is hopefully going to get enough games under his belt this year to sort of push for next year because he's under contract and he's a good young talent. But, you know, there's a lot of what-ifs there. So I think re-signing Kennedy is probably going to happen. I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee other clubs won't come in and make a better offer, etc. But I think at the moment, if Kennedy was re-signed, I wouldn't be shocked. Liam also says they have the same issue in the centres, as evidenced by playing Sifford there. Ramian's future is unknown. I'm not a huge fan, but if not him, then who? Gabriel doesn't appear to be ready. There appears to be desire amongst Sharks pundits to have claims over the next big thing so they can say, I told you so, when someone makes it. The bigger problem, as I see it, is the gap between current top squad and the potential next big thing. That gap is huge. Also, I agree that a cranky prop would be a great addition, but that is now a problem. I see tomorrow problems at both centre and fullback. I'm sure it's not possible, but what a world it would be with both Joey Manu and the Hammer in the side. That would be pretty fun. Michael Gabriel is probably closer than what I would say you're suggesting, Liam, but also not the finished product. And no one's expecting that, but also he's more green than perhaps ready. But I think they're ready to throw him in when he's available. He's been injured for quite a few weeks now, so that's a bit of a bummer there. I'm with you, though. I also think that I'm not in the Shane Flanagan category of not playing young guys. I don't have a problem with the age thing. It's more, are they ready? Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got off the field at training. Let's see your attitude, your diet, everything else. Let's see what you do in the games that you play in lower grades, and then we'll make the call. So appreciate you very much, sir. This is a very good email from Mark, and I want feedback on this one, okay? And we might raise this one again if I remember with other co-hosts. He says, loving the show. Thanks for your ongoing commitment to the club and to your loyal SharkCast community. And it's a pleasure. I love the listener question in this week's Flagship about if you could change the result of one game in the club's long history, which one would you change? What a great question. Without hesitation, my first thought was the 1973 Grand Final against Manly, which we lost 10-7. Questions from that. What would it have meant for the club and its fans if the Sharks had won its first Grand Final in 73, just 7 years after entering the competition? Steve Rogers would have been a premiership winner. What might this result for team and confidence and self-belief have been? Might we have won the 78 Grand Final instead of drawing it and then losing the replay? Tommy Bishop would have been the first Sharks coach to win a premiership and the fourth ever player coach. Tommy Bishop, who returned to England, would probably have been persuaded to stay. What might it have meant for the rep careers of its players? The Amco Cup win in 79 would not have been significant for us and the trophy cabinet. How many competitions might we have gone on to win in future years if this weight had been lifted so early in our history? It's a great thought there, Mark. Really appreciate such a detailed and meaningful reply. Thank you so much. And it would have been fantastic, and it would have meant people of my demographic and lots of demographics actually in age groups wouldn't have had to put up with all the rubbish we put up with about not winning a comp up until the night before the grand final. In fact, for me, I was getting razz. So yeah, it would have meant a lot. It would have meant a lot. I mean, I wasn't born, but a lot of our listeners were. And history is a huge thing for this club. I remember when I was a lot younger and getting into the game and into the club, reading about 73 was just as important to me as reading about the current team. I'm not suggesting today it's not, but I guess I've done a lot of research and I know a lot about that era now. Certainly not everything, but yeah, it would have been amazing. It would have been amazing just to say you'd won that one. And maybe there would have been more along the way. And so that question's open-ended for anyone, anytime this year or whenever, a game you would have changed the result of and what it would have meant, etc. Thanks so much, Mark. Now, this is a clever, slightly odd email from Mitch. And it says, email sent through time post round 7, 2016. And it's interesting because Benny Harlem and I are doing the 2016 game-by-game series. Go back and listen to those. I think we're up to round 6 now. So we're taking our time, but we're going to catch up a little bit and we'll sort of get to where we need to be. A lot of fun, I got to tell you, for starters. Go listen, go watch. But Mitch says, sent through time after round 7, 2016. Hello, Sam and Adam. Suspend your disbelief and maintain kayfabe as this email has come to you in 2026 via Doc and Marty's time-traversing DeLorean and has finally landed in your mailbag just in time for yourself and Ben to review our crushing defeat of the soon-to-be very dangerous Canberra Raiders in round 7, 2016. I've just capped off a very busy period and moved cities from Brisbane to Sydney with a slight detour through Canberra to deliver a vehicle for work. This pleasantly coincided with our round 7 clash at Bruce Stadium. It was my first time there. I was happy to be there on a very sunny Sunday afternoon. I came in a little late and was unable to watch much of the pre-game. However, the Euro 2016 soccer tournament had not happened yet, so the Raiders hadn't stole their traditional and sacred Viking horn and clap from Iceland yet. Insert real time, or the Minnesota Vikings. In terms of the game, it was the most enjoyable day. I took much joy in the Raiders sliding defense on their own goal line and the Sharks nearly walking over for a couple of tries. I do remember an opposition fan dressed in all green suit similar to the Riddler and recalled him being chirped and quieted for being suboptimal version of that Batman villain as I left the ground. In all, a great way to spend a very busy period of my life. Went back to my hotel, enjoyed a 6-pack of beer, a hot bath, and moved to the Shire officially the next day. What else would lay ahead of me in this year of 2016? I hope Prince doesn't die next week. That would be a bummer. Yours through time, Mitch. Got to say, I hope that's not the last email we get in that scenario of looking back or looking forward or whatever the hell we just did. So bear with us if you don't know what's going on. We're doing a recap series. Mitch has gone back to that time. He sent us something from that time, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. I'll pass that on to Adam as well. And yes, we will get to more watch-alongs shortly. In fact, Ben, if you're listening, I know you are, remind me to read that out again for the episode. All right. Ash has been in touch and said, we demolished the Tigers last week, and last night we didn't show up against South Sydney. We had a 6-day turnaround with South missing their best players. What are we doing at training? Rather than posing for photos, I want to know what we do. I've gone back over, and whenever it's someone's milestone game, we've never won a milestone game for quite some time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, and also the curse of the black jersey strikes again. I think this year is a complete write-off. I don't like saying this about my team. I think top 8 is out of reach. I think it's just going to be too hard to come back. I thought we were very, very poor last night. I think the squad has gone the furthest it can as a whole group now, and we should start planning for next season. Also looking forward to Ronaldo coming back. There's a bit of talk about Manly as well upcoming. But for me, it was a very frustrating night last night at Homebush. I'll continue supporting the greatest rugby league team in the history of the world, and hopefully we can beat the Bulldogs. Thank you very much from Ash, OG Sharkcaster from day one. So thank you, sir, for writing in and telling us about your feelings. It's a bummer that you went all that way out to Homebush and they didn't turn up. I think we can still make the 8, my friend, so just hold the phone there. Let's see what happens this week and moving forward. I just want to get this one out of the way. It's not directed at you, Ash, but you have asked the question. The whole thing about posing for photos at training and they're not doing their training. I'm just going to talk reality here for a second and I'm not being like some sort of weirdo head swell or whatever. I was actually at the ground when they were doing those photos in the New Jerseys. It did not take very long. What happens there in that normal scenario is, the media staff and whoever else will set up that shoot. It'll take however long it takes. And it's sort of like clockwork. The team finishes their training and they pick out a few guys, and then Paul Gallen turns up at a lot of time and they're in there for like a few minutes. They take some photos in and out of that jersey and they get on about their business. So I just want to shoot down the fact that they're not training. They're too busy doing other stuff at the ground. It's not true. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I've been part of it, It's a very quick process. Like, you don't have a lot of time talking to these guys because they're so busy with gym and with on-field and with video and with meetings. It's almost clockwork-like. I say almost because sometimes that clock can run early or late, to be fair. They're just not sitting around, mucking around down at that facility. I can tell you that for a fact. All right, Brock says the game against Rabbitohs was probably the worst game we've played. 7-0 penalties against us in the first half was disgraceful. So Brock wants the coach to put players on notice. Bad performance means losing your spot and you have to earn it back. Changes have to be made. You want to see Riley Pollard and you want to see Michael Gabriel given a chance as well as Tuku. You'd like to see Tom Hazelton put back in New South Wales Cup, saying he's done very little all year. The game is too fast for him. I think that's a bit of a stretch, Brock, from my point of view. I think was it the West Tigers game? He was pretty good. I understand they were running downhill, but he was pretty good. So just to say he's done nothing all year is a bit of a stretch. I don't mind this suggestion that you've said Colquhoun and AFB starting with Puru at lock. I don't mind that at all. And then I think you've written a second bit of correspondence. Yeah, you say you probably won't agree with me, but... And so just getting a little heads up there, Brock. Please don't say that because you don't know what I'm going to agree or not agree to. You say Felix and Sam McCulloch and Gabriel and Nikora Williams all need to be brought in. These changes need to be made. These young players will stand up. And I appreciate what you're saying. You're saying that you want to reward the young guys coming through and doing what they can to get into first grade, and you want to, I guess for want of a better word, punish the first graders for not performing at levels that they should be. Now, just on the guys you've mentioned, I mean, Sam McCulloch can barely get a game for the Jets, so he's not going to be playing first grade anytime soon. Do I like Sam McCulloch? Absolutely. Do I think he's got a big future in the game? I think potentially he does, potentially. But, he's just not going to be thrown into first grade. He actually is one of the guys I think if you throw in for one game only, he'd deliver something, I think, to a good degree. Like, I think he'd hold his own for a game at this stage of his life. Pollard is getting closer. I think you'd see him come on as a utility, ideally, just to get his speed and groove right in the first top grade. But I am a big fan of Riley Pollard. No secret there. Gabriel is closer than probably all of them. But again, he's not the finished product, and we don't expect him to be. But I just want to let you know that he's still pretty green. Nakora Williams is a way off. Brilliant young local talent. Been pushed to the wing in New South Wales Cup, but an out-and-out centre. But he needs to grow a bit more. But a really good footballer. No doubt about that. Felix Fatili, super size, good attitude, getting better every day. I'd wait on that one as well. I want him to be just completely ready to go. But that's just my opinion, Brock. You've asked for my opinion. That's my opinion. I've read out your opinion. I appreciate that. I respect that. I'm not saying no to these guys, but you just can't throw them all in at once, for starters. And I think some of these guys are just a bit unrealistic this year, personally. And I kind of warned you guys and girls about that at the start of the year. I said some of these guys, they're not ready this year. A couple of them, could do a job. But I don't know if they're ready to do a job week in, week out. Thank you so much, Brock. Don't be a stranger, please. And I really do appreciate you being in touch. Stephen's been in touch. So he wrote to me in the first half of the Souths game, which I appreciate. And then in the second half, or after the game at some point, wrote this. Obviously, our right side defense is a target for whoever we're playing at the moment. But I think it's a whole coaching players thing. The attitude is completely off. Does Ronnie and Ramian coming in sort that out? It's hard to think two players could fix that. And I agree with that in a sense, Stephen. I think that the two guys coming in will help, especially Ronaldo. But it's not going to stop every penalty and make us an amazing defensive team. Everyone has to lift. At this point, absolutely annoys me because you're so right. And it said, no one stood up and said, follow me, I'll get us out of this, an ongoing issue. And I agree with you completely there. No one is taking the game by the scruff and going, I've got this. You do say one thing I'd like to raise is having a dozen players all come off contract at the same time. Was that a great idea? I know we had something similar a few years back, but this could be a reason why the attitude is so off. I know they're professionals, but at some point, if your paycheck isn't sorted for the future, it has to start weighing on your mind, especially if you have a family to think about. Another thing is, why don't we have players ready to go from the lower grades? Most of the teams in the comp seem to have young players ready to go. The only bloke I can remember coming in recent times was Kale Iro. So just on that, before I get to the rest of it, Stephen, the contract thing, I'm not sure. I don't know if that's just circumstance. I know it's someone's job to look after contracts and all that kind of thing. So I can't believe it's an accident, but I also can't believe that maybe they wanted that many off contract at the same time. Maybe it's just circumstantial. I'm not sure about that one. There's not too many people who give you a straight answer on that one, unfortunately. As for the guys coming through, look, there's a bunch there. Maybe in the sense of when Kale was ready, maybe the other guys weren't ready and didn't make the grade. This is the latest batch. There should be a bunch that come through at some point. I mean, you could have thrown Liam Eisen in there, except he had the horrific injury, so that's obviously taken a year or two off his career as far as where he would start being a regular first grader. The plan was there that he would take over Kennedy a year ago or whatever, and it wasn't meant to be. You also say, I know you've praised AFB throughout the season, but I think he's been very quiet, bordering on disappointment. He said to be on $1 million a season. I think we should expect him around 200 metres a game, not be lazy in defence and score a try every 2 to 3 games. Is his mind on the thing that ruins a season, Origin rather than Cronulla? I disagree with you there, as you expected. I think that he's doing fine. I think that we need to understand that AFB is in the latter end of his career. You certainly wouldn't want to mess with him, but he's probably not beast mode every game like he was when he was young. He gets a job done. He gets, I would say on average, I'd have to look it up, but I think his average meters would be probably 120, 130. May be wrong, but that's what my head's saying. To be fair, he's probably not in the position to score too many tries this year. He's bagged a few for us in the past. I take your point. I just don't necessarily agree, but I understand where you're coming from. Like, he's not lights out beast mode, but I certainly don't think he's the problem. And lastly, you talk about Britton Nickera. In what world is he better than Burns? I'd be shopping him around. And from what I saw last night, there seems to be a bit of tension between him and Trindle. On your last point, as I hinted at before earlier in the show, I do see these guys around a lot. I'm not even kidding. I saw them both with a few other people having coffee this morning. All okay. They weren't having a crisis meeting, just hanging out before training, and they look like they got on just fine. I know the incident you're talking about. It's heat of the moment. I have no problem with it. We asked these guys to be a bit more aggressive and a bit more, I guess, caring, and that shows to me a bit of care. I agree with you, though. I think that the way we use him, it's either the way we use him or the way he plays. I'm not sure what the answer is. Whatever it is, the result, I don't think is good enough for me for the money he's on and the time he's on the field. I don't think he's a bench player. I think he's an 80-minute player, but I also quite like what Billy Burns does on probably, one-third of the money, half the money at least. Thanks so much, Stephen. Really appreciate it. Different Stephen, our friend Stephen over in Perth, has been in touch. He says, we went toe-to-toe to start with against Souths and couldn't handle it. Our right side defence will not be the right side we take into the finals if we make it, so I'm kind of less concerned about that. But as I said last week, I wish I had the same confidence in us to come from behind as the confidence I have that we are far from certain of turning a 14-point lead into a match-winning lead. We go down by 2. I have next to no confidence in any of our team to turn that around for us. Ugh, that's no good, Stephen. If I were a Panthers, Dolphins, Broncos, or Bunnies fan, I would still have faith that we can overcome a 24-point deficit with 24 left. That's the difference of a team that can and can't win a premiership. Thank you, Stephen. Keeping it real as always. Hope you're well over there. Buck Witt said, looking hopeless. That was during the game. Thank you. Chris said, people seem to have forgotten that Raymond and Ronaldo were part of the defensive issues when they were playing. Continually rushing in, leaving large gaps in the line. Although Sifa has his defensive issues, these inclusions will not solve the problem in defence. They need a good defensive coach and maybe go back to basics. I saw the Tigers game as an anomaly. Our defence really wasn't tested against the side down on players. The result against the Bunnies was expected as the Tigers game hid the issues for a week. Thank God Latrell Sr. didn't play. Thanks, Chris. I thought actually, aside from 2 tries in that Tigers game, even before Dewey went off, I thought the defence was actually okay. And I thought they looked like a different team that week. So whatever they did that week, I'd want them to do again this week against the Dogs. I appreciate what you're saying about Ronaldo and Ramian. To have your top players in that position play for you, I think, is a bonus. So let's go with that. Brent says, I don't need to speak too much about the last embarrassing, worthless game. Changes need to be made. You want Riley Pollard at hooker. Colhoun and AFB, our starting front row. You want Wilton and Burns and Hohepa to be the back row. Stone Street out, Mulatalo in, Ramium in, Talakai to the bench. So a bunch of changes there for you, Brent. It comes down to this: we're the last team to lose to the Dragons. If we're the first team to lose them this year, that will do me. Oh, dude, don't start with that. He says, we can only hope to win this week, up. Thanks, Brent. I don't want the Dragon talk happening, my friend. I really couldn't deal with that. Thanks to David for sending me a Titans Sharks 2007 clip, and I think a few people sent me that one. Thank you very much. Evan asked if there's any word on Katoa, and the club hasn't officially said anything. I saw him during the week, and he was walking around without a limp, and that's about all I got for you. I believe it was going to be 2 to 4 weeks, so we'll keep an eye on that one, Evan. Thanks to John for sending in a clip for me as well, an old clip. Thank you. 50% has been in touch talking about his recent trip to Sydney. Appreciate all that. Thanks so much. Great to chat to you, my friend. And thanks to Joe as well, who was in touch asking a few questions about Uele and Rudolph at the end of the season. I'm not sure what's happening there. I do tend to think that one of them will be gone, and I tend to think that it will be Uele and not Toby Rudolph. I'm not saying both won't go, but I think one of them at least will go. I wouldn't be surprised if they both went, but it's a crazy world, and who knows, they both might stay. So we're just not sure at this moment. But the way that one is being picked and one isn't, you would think that gives you a good indication at least who might be leaving. Smitty said, I'd like to bring this to the club's attention. They do a jersey each year of different eras. Why can't we do a different one for Anzac Day every year? I bought the first one, and honestly, it's still my favorite. Yeah, it's a different sort of question there, Smitty. Hope you're doing well. The Anzac Day one, I know they're only allowed to do a certain amount of jerseys every year. So they make a list, and I guess they prioritize some they have to do, some that they choose to do. For example, I think you have to do an Indigenous one every round. I think you have to do maybe a Women in League one. I'm not sure. I shouldn't speculate, but there's different rules and regulations about what comes out and a limit on what you can do. I think maybe the fact that Anzac Day wasn't at home, a few things going against it, meant this year they weren't going to do it. We'll see what happens in the future, but appreciate you being in touch. All right, so that's all the mail, I think. And if I haven't gotten to all of it, I will at some point. So please keep it coming in. SharkCastPod@gmail.com. We are on the social medias at SharkCastPod. You can go via sharkcast.com.au, click on the message section, and you can write to us. You can sort of leave us a voicemail kind of thing. It's quite easy to do. Keep it short, 30 seconds to a minute, and we can actually play that on the show if that's what you want to do. So we're going to wrap it up there. We will get to a preview episode in the next 24, I would imagine, and we will work out a few more things for a few more episodes, I would hope, all being well, and we'll get you to Magic Round Friday, 6 o'clock. Can't wait for it. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, just a disclaimer, I'm reasonably sure I won't be able to do a post-game show live after the game on Friday, but we will try and make up for that in another way. So just stay tuned to our socials, especially if you need me to reply to an email or something, happy to do that. But I'm not going to forget about you guys. It's just probably won't be happening this Friday. Thanks so much for everything. If you can like, subscribe, follow, share, all that kind of thing, spread the word verbally. Tell your friends, family, schoolmates, colleagues, everyone in your life who goes to the Sharks. Let them know that SharkCast Pod is a thing. They may not be aware of it, and it may not be for them, but it just very well may be as well. Appreciate you all. We'll talk to you soon. If you go to Magic Round, have a great, safe, fun time. Up Cronulla. Let's go. SharkCast is supported by the best and most honest real estate agent in the Sutherland Shire, Jason Hawes from Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. He's an expert in the Caringbah region and has his eye all across the Shire. Lifelong Sharks fan and supporter of this podcast, if you're looking to buy or sell in the region, the person you need to be talking to is Jason Hawes from Cripps and Cripps Real Estate. Call him on 0410 417 450. That's 0410 417 450. Jason Hawes, Cripps and Cripps Real Estate.
Sharkies! Sharkies!
Fafita tries to crash his way over. He does. Fafita got the ball over the line.
And to all you people back in the Shire, turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.